The US government is making a bold move that could send Bitcoin soaring like never before. Get ready, because what you're about to hear will change everything. President Trump has recently signed an executive order to establish a Bitcoin strategic reserve, a game changer that could redefine the future of money.
Last year, I promised to make America the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and this will be a virtual Fort Knox for digital gold to be housed within the United States Treasury. That's a big thing. The federal government is already among the largest holders of Bitcoin. Unfortunately, in recent years, the U.S. government has foolishly sold tens of thousands of additional Bitcoin that were worth billions and billions of dollars had they not sold them, but they did sell them, mostly during the Biden administration. From this day on, America will follow the rule that every Bitcoin knows very well: never sell your Bitcoin.
This executive order is a game changer for the entire Bitcoin and crypto market. And believe me, it's shaking things up like never before. Even the most diehard Bitcoin maximalists didn't see this coming this soon. An executive order for a Bitcoin strategic reserve from President Trump. But as he's done so many times before, Trump has proven the skeptics wrong, delivering on his promises in spectacular fashion. This move is a monumental step in cementing Bitcoin's role in the U.S. financial system. It's not just a fleeting moment. It's a declaration that Bitcoin is here to stay, and its influence will soon ripple across the globe. The implications of this executive order are massive, and the world will soon feel its effect. To dive deeper into the significance of this, we've got Michael Saylor, chairman of MicroStrategy, now Strategy, offering expert insights during a conversation with Lara Trump on Fox News. Alongside him, David Sachs, the White House's AI and crypto czar, and Scott Bessent, the Secretary of the Treasury, weigh in on the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Executive Order and its future impact. But that's not all. Stick around till the end because Michael Saylor reveals exclusive details about Rex Bitcoin corporate bond ticker Bmax. And trust me, you won't want to miss that. This video is packed with groundbreaking information you won't hear anywhere else. So before we dive in, please hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments, share the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more Bitcoin and crypto updates. Your support means the world to us. Thank you, and enjoy the video.
You have over 48 patents, and now you are so big into the Bitcoin crypto space. How did you get introduced to crypto initially?
In 2013, I heard about Bitcoin, but I didn't need it, and I just dismissed it as an oddity. And in 2020, my company faced an existential crisis, and I realized that I was either going to have a fast death or a slow death, or I needed to take a risk and transform the business. So what we did is we looked around for something like digital gold that we could purchase on our company's balance sheet that would save the company and give us a future. And so that's how I came across crypto.
A lot of people say, all right, if I want to invest a little money in Bitcoin, I don't know where that goes, but it does go somewhere. You're saying it's actually more secure and safer than actually putting it into a bank because it's yours and no one could ever take that from you. Is that right?
The real appeal of Bitcoin is people don't want to invest or risk their money. They want to save their money. So Bitcoiners would say, we're not investing, we're saving. It's a savings technology. What if you just wanted to take your life savings and put it into a bank in cyberspace that promises to never freeze your funds, that isn't run by humans, it's run by incorruptible software, and you're going to go to sleep for a decade, right? If you're Rip Van Winkle, what can I buy that 30 years from now will be more valuable, that will hold its value? We want to know that we control it, not our bank, not our government, not the mayor, not the CEO of the company. When I first started looking for digital gold, I saw there were 10,000 different crypto networks. And I said, what's the winner? What's the safe one? What's the secure choice? And we sifted through and we said, well, the largest, most valuable one appears to be Bitcoin. Has it been copied? Can it be copied? Well, it had been copied 10,000 times and they had all failed. Bitcoin, it was the winner. It attracted all the smart capital. Satoshi launched Bitcoin, disappeared, from history forever disclaimed any beneficial ownership and said, I don't control it, I don't own it. It is my gift. It is sovereign money. Bitcoin is the safest bank.
What does the future look like to you with Bitcoin, with cryptocurrency in general? Where do you see it 5, 10, or even 100 years from now?
I think big tech is going to embrace Bitcoin. They're going to let you hold your Bitcoin on your iPhone, on your Android phone. It will find its way into Microsoft software, Amazon software, Google, Apple software. I think that banks are going to embrace Bitcoin. So your bank's going to give you a loan against your Bitcoin. It'll buy Bitcoin for you. Insurance companies will start to support Bitcoin. I think families will increasingly begin to see it as their savings account. The yoga studio, the restaurant, the hotel chain, they'll be able to raise capital in order to improve their business and to innovate. And I think that that sound money, that will spread through South America, Africa, Asia, it'll try to China. So I think the future is American values, American technology, not just making America great, but also spreading economic prosperity to the entire world.
The strategic Bitcoin reserve, I think the starting point for understanding that is, like the president said, that the federal government already owns a lot. Over the past decade or so, through criminal and civil asset forfeitures and seizures, the government came into the possession of roughly 400,000 Bitcoin. Unfortunately, there was no long-term strategy around these holdings, and roughly half of those Bitcoin were sold for a relative pittance, I think $366 million. Today, those Bitcoin would have been worth $17 billion. So the taxpayer and the government have lost out on this value by not having this strategy of holding these assets for the long term. We don't want to make that mistake again.
Digital assets are here to stay, and we are going to make the U.S. the digital asset hub of the world. For the past 4 years, the crypto community, digital assets, the administration retarded their growth, and we are set to accelerate that through a positive partnership and through smart regulation. Senate and House are both pushing through very sound, safe bills to bring crypto and digital assets onshore in the U.S. and to make sure that the U.S. is both the financial and the technological leader.
In other exciting news, the Rex Bitcoin is set to revolutionize the market. With Rex Bitcoin Bmax, both retail and institutional investors now have the chance to invest in convertible bonds from powerhouse companies like MSTR, Mara, and Riot, each leveraging Bitcoin as a treasury reserve asset. What does this mean for you? Simply put, you now have the opportunity to profit from Bitcoin's upside without the risk of its downside. It's a game changer. And the best part? Michael Saylor and Greg King, CEO of Rex, are sharing even more groundbreaking insights. Trust me, it just keeps getting better. Now let's dive back into the video.
Welcome back. Bitcoin back above, well, briefly above 85,000 today. And now a new first-of-its-kind ETF is giving investors access to convertible corporate bonds issued by companies holding Bitcoin on their balance sheet. It's the Rex Bitcoin Corporate Treasury Convertible Bond ETF, ticker Bmax. Top holdings include bonds from companies like Strategy, Mara Holdings, and Riot Platforms. And it was developed in partnership with Strategy's Executive Chair Michael Saylor, who joins us now, along with Greg King, who is the CEO of Rex Financial. Welcome to both of you. Okay, so corporate convertible debt bond ETFs exist. But this is the first one, Michael, that is for specifically companies holding Bitcoin. Is that right? Why do investors need this?
Well, but we were the largest issuer of convertible bonds last year. We're the largest issuer of convertible bonds this year. Our convertible bonds are the best performing converts, probably the best performing bonds issued in the past 5 to 10 years. And it turns out that Strategy's convertible bonds have outperformed Bitcoin over this time period since issuance. And so you get Bitcoin performance, but you get the downside protection of a bond. I think this is really critical. And this ETF is really important because retail investors could never buy these bonds, and institutional investors have a difficult time buying the bonds. So Bmax is it's plugging an important gap in the entire crypto economy because it's providing easy institutional access and retail access to all of these crypto or Bitcoin-backed convertible bonds. I think it'll be good for the investors, it'll be good for the issuers, and it'll be good for Bitcoin in general.
Could you, Michael, give us, so even for me, I've thought as I've kind of followed this all along with the convertible debt and so forth, for a while the shares were doing quite well. Obviously, lately they've been more under pressure. What is an example of how an investor could make money on this kind of strategy, holding the convertible debt, versus holding Bitcoin, or versus holding your shares, or holding your shares through a leveraged position? I don't know if you can give us some illustrative math.
When you're holding the convertible bond, you're getting like a 70 delta instrument sometimes. So you're getting like 70% of the upside of the equity, but you've got the downside protection. And that means you might be getting all of the upside of BTC because strategy is geared to kind of be 1.5x Bitcoin. So if you want a 1.5x roller coaster, 1.5 volatility, 100 vol, and you want to shoot for, what's been 90 to 100% ARR, you take the MSTR equity. If you want straight BTC, you buy BTC or you buy a spot Bitcoin ETF, and it's like 60 vol, 60 ARR. But if you like the idea of kind of getting the upside but having downside protection, you need a company with Bitcoin on its balance sheet to sell you a convertible bond that gives you that upside warrant, but then gives you the credit protection. And that's what this convertible bond fund is all about.
Greg, are there enough investors who you think will be interested in this ETF and enough other companies like Strategy, we mentioned a couple of them, which would make this pool of debt available?
Yeah, we think so. There's a huge demand from retail for anything that Michael Saylor is involved with, obviously, but really that's because of the underlying exposure to Bitcoin and with what's happened with the administration. I mean, it's night and day what you're hearing from not only institutions, but politicians and governments about Bitcoin. So the ecosystem is getting built out. And I think what Mr. Saylor has done at Strategy with his innovative capital structuring, he's gone on to, issue preferreds and so on. The ETF ecosystem is just catching up to that. So we love this fund for two reasons. Number one is its access. And ultimately, that's what ETFs are originally about, is giving retail access to institutional strategies. And, however many years we are in, 25 years into ETFs, it's unbelievable that there's still areas of the market that are pretty untouchable to the retail investor directly. This is essentially the only way to package these bonds into a portfolio for retail and even mid-sized institutions. And two, it's the instruments themselves. They have this downside protection element that Michael was talking about, as well as the upside protection, depending on the basket, of course. And when we first started talking about this idea, really, MicroStrategy, as it was called at the time, was the only issuer. But since then, you've seen other companies jump in, the Bitcoin miners and so on. So this fund will continue to evolve and keep pace with the space as it grows.
Got it. What is the expense ratio?
85 basis points.
85 basis points. So, Michael, I guess one concern would be, is the ETF strategy sort of capping the upside? If the whole idea of kind of being involved in some of these instruments is to take advantage of this big possible upside, wouldn't this bond possibly limit that, especially if the bonds were called back by Strategy or others?
Well, as I said before, our converts are actually outperforming Bitcoin with downside protection. And because it's impossible for most retail investors and a lot of institutions to buy this, the market's inefficient. And so we expect the convertible bond market to grow dramatically because of this ETF. And it should be good for the bond investors because their bonds are undervalued. They'll be fully valued. It should be good for the convertible bond market. It should make it possible for other Bitcoin treasury companies to issue more convertible bonds. And of course, as you know, the more capital we raise via this mechanism, the more Bitcoin we buy,
right,
and more intelligent leverage we get. So it's good for our equity, it's good for Bitcoin, and it's good for investors. So I think it's a win-win-win.
And that's a wrap for today's video. Did you find it valuable and thought-provoking? Now here's the big question. What's next for Bitcoin? With all these bullish catalysts and strong tailwinds, where do you see demand and price heading? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your take. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support fuels this channel and keeps the insights coming. Let's keep riding this wave together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.